Imagine you're at a lavish costume party in 1950s Mexico City. The music is loud, the champagne is flowing, and your life is a series of beautiful, carefree moments. But then, the music stops. You are handed a frantic scribbled letter from your cousin. It reads, "He is trying to poison me. This house is sick with rot, stinks of decay, brims with every evil and cruel sentiment. I am afraid." This is how we enter the visceral, terrifying world of Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. It is a story that begins with a rescue mission and ends with a nightmare of fungi, eugenics, and immortality. Today, we are traveling to High Place to uncover the dark secrets of the Doyle family. We will explore the plot, the history, and the terrifying science behind the horror. Spoiler warning. We are going to unearth every secret in this book, including the ending. If you want to experience the gloom for yourself first, pause this video now. Otherwise, let's step into the fog. Part 1. The Arrival. Our protagonist is Noemí Taboada, a glamorous, intelligent socialite who dreams of studying anthropology. Her father interrupts her party life with that disturbing letter from her cousin, Catalina. Catalina recently married a handsome Englishman named Virgil Doyle and moved to his family estate, High Place, in the mountains of El Triunfo. Her father thinks Catalina is being melodramatic, but he strikes a deal with Noemí. Go check on her cousin, and he will let her go to graduate school. Noemí packs her bags and heads to El Triunfo. What she finds is not a romantic getaway. El Triunfo is a dying town, a shadow of its former self. To understand the horror, we have to understand the history. Decades ago, this region was a hub for silver mining, exploited first by the Spanish and later by British companies. The Doyles were one of these British families. They extracted the wealth, worked the indigenous miners to death, and then the silver ran out. Now, only the house remains. Noemí is picked up by Francis Doyle, a quiet, awkward young man, and taken to High Place. The mansion is a Victorian monstrosity, rotting, dark, and lacking electricity. It is ruled by strict silence and the iron fist of Florence Doyle, Francis's mother. And then there is the patriarch, Howard Doyle. He is hundreds of years old, barely alive, and obsessed with eugenics and the purity of European bloodlines. Part 2. The Diagnosis. Noemí finally sees Catalina, who is bedridden. The Doyles claim she has tuberculosis and is mentally unstable. But Catalina whispers terrified secrets to Noemí. She claims there are people in the walls and that her husband, Virgil, is cruel. Noemí starts digging. She visits the town healer, Marta Duval, and learns a dark rumour. The Doyles are cursed. Years ago, Howard's daughter Ruth went on a shooting spree, killing family members before killing herself. The town believes the house itself is evil. As Noemí stays longer, the house begins to infect her. She starts sleepwalking, something she hasn't done since childhood. She has vivid, horrific nightmares of golden women, blood rituals, and Ruth Doyle stalking the halls with a shotgun. The atmosphere is suffocating. There is mold everywhere. The Doyles refuse to bring in an outside doctor, insisting their family physician, Dr. Cummins, is sufficient. But Noemí notices that whenever she tries to leave or help Catalina, the family tightens their grip. She grows closer to Francis, the only Doyle who seems to possess a conscience. He shows her his collection of spore prints and fungi, a foreshadowing of the horror to come. When Noemí tries to smuggle a local tincture to Catalina, it causes a violent seizure, proving that the Doyles are medicating Catalina with something distinct, something controlling. Part 3, the gloom, the twist. The turning point comes when Noemí decides she has had enough. She tries to leave, but the Doyles reveal their trap. She cannot leave. In fact, she is biologically bound to the house. This is where Mexican Gothic shifts from a haunted house story to biological horror. Howard Doyle didn't just come to Mexico for silver. He came because he was dying. 300 years ago, he discovered a specific strain of mushroom in these caves. These weren't just healing mushrooms, they were symbiotic. Think of a mycelium network, the root structure of fungi. In nature, it connects trees and plants, transferring nutrients and information. At High Place, the fungus has infected the walls, the soil, and the people. The Doyles call this web of memories and control the Gloom. Howard has been using this fungus to achieve immortality. Here is how it works. First, the infection. The family inhales the spores, which bond with their biology. Then, preservation. The Gloom stores the minds and memories of the dead family members. And then, transfer. When Howard's body fails, he uses the Gloom to overwrite the mind of a descendant and take over their body. So, consequently, what has been the problem? Inbreeding. The Doyles have married cousins for generations to keep the bloodline compatible with the fungus, but their genetics are failing. They are producing non-viable offspring. They need fresh blood. They chose Catalina, but she resisted the bonding. Now they have chosen Noemí. Her genetics are perfect. Howard plans to force Noemí to marry Francis. Then, Howard will transfer his consciousness into Francis's body, effectively erasing the gentle young man Noemí has grown to care for. Part 4. The Ritual and the Fire. The climax is a fever dream of horror. Noemí is dressed in an ancient wedding gown and forced into a ceremony. She is drugged with the fungus, and her mind begins to dissolve into the Gloom. But Francis fights back. He has been slipping Noemí information and plotting. However, on the night of the ritual, it seems all is lost. Virgil reveals he was the mastermind behind luring Noemí there. But never underestimate a woman fighting for her life. As Howard begins to invade Francis's mind, Catalina wakes up. She grabs a knife and stabs Howard. In the chaos, Francis wrestles a rifle away from his mother, Florence, and kills her. Noemí grabs the gun and shoots Howard, blowing his ancient face away. But shooting the body isn't enough. The source of the Gloom is still alive. They run to the cavern beneath the house. There, Noemí finds the mummified, fungal-infested body of Agnes, Howard's first wife. She was the original sacrifice, the battery powering this web of horror. Just as a parasite requires a host to survive, the entire house and the immortality of the Doyles rely on Agnes. Noemí grabs a lantern and throws it at Agnes's corpse. The fungus is highly flammable. As Agnes burns, the connection is severed. Virgil, consumed by the pain of the dying network, is killed by Catalina. Francis, Noemí, and Catalina flee the house as High Place is engulfed in flames, burning the legacy of the Doyles to the ground. Part 5. The Aftermath and Analysis. The fire burns High Place to the ground, taking the Doyles, the fungus, and centuries of rot with it. But in the quiet of the aftermath, Mexican Gothic refuses to give us a simple, happily ever after. We find Noemí, Catalina, and Francis safe in the town below. But the victory is bittersweet. Francis, having lived his entire life inhaling the spores, is biologically altered. He is terrified that he might still be a carrier, that the Gloom lives on inside him, waiting to infect the next generation. He even contemplates suicide to end the bloodline for good. But Noemí, in a final act of defiance against the Doyles' pessimistic worldview, chooses hope. She refuses to let Francis destroy himself. She tells him that whatever happens, they will face it together. It is a powerful ending, not because the monster is dead, but because the survivors refuse to let the fear of the monster rule their future. So, what is the deeper meaning behind the horror? Beneath the mold and the jump scares, Silvia Moreno-Garcia is telling a much darker real-world story about colonialism. Howard Doyle represents the ultimate colonizer. He came to a land that wasn't his, stole its resources, exploited its people, and finally began consuming the bodies of his own family to sustain his unnatural life. The Gloom isn't just magic. It's a metaphor for how trauma of racism, eugenics, and patriarchy can linger in the walls and infect the present if we don't burn it out. It reminds us that sometimes you can't just fix a broken system from the inside. Sometimes you have to grab a lantern and burn the whole thing down. Now, we've uncovered the secrets and analysed the themes, but I have to be honest with you. No summary can do justice to the atmosphere of this novel. Silvia Moreno-Garcia's writing is lush, sensory, and deeply unsettling. You can practically smell the rotting flowers, feel the damp wallpaper, and hear the house breathing through the pages. If you want the ultimate experience, if you want to truly feel the gloom for yourself, I highly recommend picking up a copy of Mexican Gothic and reading it late at night. It's a modern masterpiece that deserves to be experienced firsthand. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Francis is truly free of the spores, or is the horror waiting to return? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darkness, please leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe the Booklantic Ocean for more literary breakdowns. And until next time, keep your lights on and stay out of the fog.